Good evening. This is Henry Hushke back for day 12 of the COVID cast. Today we are going to be taking a look on the progression of the virus, some of the people that it's affecting, and having a chuckle at the end of the day. So let's start out with our Johns Hopkins case tracker. We're up to, according to this right now, 460,250 total cases. Let me reload to make sure that is current. Yep. So total case numbers continue to climb, and they continue to climb exponentially as of right now. Big new development is the WHO is now saying that basically the U.S. is the next epicenter. They had already said Europe was the next epicenter a few weeks ago of the virus. Now the U.S. is being considered the next epicenter, and that makes sense. The U.S. has become the country with the most active cases out of any country, with 63,000 active cases right now. And our current number is 64,764 cases. So pretty terrible numbers out of the U.S. And let's see, yesterday was 53.7 thousand. So over 10,000 cases on the time scale that Johns Hopkins uses, confirmed in a day in the U.S. So by far the biggest case jumps that we've seen out of any country. So yeah, the U.S. is certainly on a very dark track at the moment. I'd like to credit Jose from Spain for sending me a new site. Thank you so much. It has my beloved logarithmic charts that I talk about all the time here. So this site currently has the case number actually at 466,630. So slightly different. But it has this total cases chart, which doesn't separate out between China and outside of China or anything, which is again why the strange shape of it, because China, as far as we know, did get everything under control, and their numbers did have completely leveled off basically. But I'll be putting that there so you can see we're basically in a completely straight line right now, with our cases on the logarithmic scale growing exponentially. We haven't really seen a big slow yet, and we need to continue to make sure there is a slowing. Okay, so yep, the U.S. is the new epicenter. Here in Michigan today, bad news today. We had a jump of 506 cases today, and 19 new deaths today, which is really, really bad in Michigan. And what we're really seeing when we go to Michigan's total data is Detroit City, the city of Detroit, has over 700 cases now. And the counties right around Detroit, Macomb, and Oakland, both have hundreds of cases. In Wayne County too, hundreds of cases. Detroit and Wayne are separated out. So the Michigan total has gone up to 2,294 cases, and 43 deaths. So really, really bad here where I'm at here. If I didn't already say, the day is March 25th, 2020, Wednesday, March 25th, 2020, and I am coming to you from Traverse City, Michigan, which is kind of the northwest lower peninsula, so kind of a rural area of the state. But still, our county has the 3 cases, Grand Traverse County. So bad news out of Michigan today. Our statewide lockdown went into effect yesterday, but so, as we've talked about so much, with the way it works, we definitely at least have 2 weeks before we have a chance of seeing these numbers start to drop, these new numbers start to drop. So we got to keep that in mind. Or maybe not 2 weeks, maybe 10 days if we're lucky, but Anyways, bad news out of Michigan, still growing exponentially. The data from Italy is something we've been keeping track of because they have been on this national lockdown the longest of any country in kind of the Western world. So they today reported 5,200 new cases. And if I go to it, let's see. So yeah, 5,200 new cases and 683 deaths. So really terrible tolls still right now. And the total deaths to total cases surpassed 10% today, which is insanely high, the case fatality rate right now. So again, I've continued to assume that we're going to keep seeing these new case numbers kind of pile up, because I think there's just a big backlog of people that have this, that just literally they don't have enough tests because so many people have it. So I am assuming that the case number is much bigger, which is really terrible for the whole country, but it does put the deaths in perspective, hopefully, because otherwise it's the rate is really catastrophic rate in Italy, and I hope Italy continues to do okay. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the United Kingdom. So the UK had some big news today. This isn't as, I guess I don't know how to put it, but this is something that is not necessarily on the mass scale as important, but it is something important to Brits and something kind of interesting, and also kind of potentially really tragic here. Is Prince Charles has tested positive for coronavirus. So he's 71, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, so he's 71, and he is next in line for the throne after Queen Elizabeth II. So, and she's in her 90s. I'm not quite sure her exact age. Anyways, he is the heir to the Queen, and Kate and William, kind of the maybe most prominent members of the royal family, or the maybe just kind of the assumed eventual king and queen of Great Britain. If he were to succumb to this, which he's at extreme risk of doing so, the whole line of succession would completely change, and it would go to Prince Andrew, which is extremely problematic because Prince Andrew is someone who, if you have any knowledge about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, someone who has very troubling ties to Jeffrey Epstein and his ring of pedophilia and that sort of thing. So very, very disturbing stuff, potentially, and certainly not what the royal family would like. So I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, between Meghan and Harry and this, the royal family is not having a good year so far. I'll say that much. Obviously, hopefully, Charles is okay, and everyone's okay. You know, the rest of the family doesn't have it. Queen Elizabeth doesn't have it, because that would be really, really bad. So hopefully the royal family's okay. But that's something to keep monitoring. On a bright note, the UK is doing a very good job now. They've at first, there's some talk that they were just going to let this virus burn through the population. So it's practically like the US and the UK are almost trading places, because the UK has realized just what a human cost this virus would cause if it infects everyone, and they're on lockdown right now. There's some, I don't know if they're uplifting, but somewhat amusing videos of the police in the UK dispersing people on the lawns and that sort of thing. So that's a little bit of comedy, just like, I don't know if I mentioned yesterday, the Italian mayors, those videos, which are fantastic videos. If you haven't seen those videos of the Italian mayors going up to anyone lollygagging in the streets and, telling them to get out of there, or saying they're going to order the flamethrowers in to break up parties, with something so dark, it's something a little bit funny, to, I guess, lighten the mood a little bit when we're talking about such a terrible catastrophe. So I've already talked about how the U.S. is just on the total upswing in cases, and just we're starting to get to the real stage where the U.S. is going to be seeing massive loss. I mean, really massive loss. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I really think the whole idea, the idea that we have the governors leading the response, and the idea that kind of each state does its own thing. On the one hand, that makes sense in that, like, yes, New York needs more attention than Wyoming, but at the same time, the only way we're going to stop this, there are cases in every state. There's more than 10 cases in every single state in the U.S. Every single state has outbreaks. It's a national outbreak, so I really do still think that we need more national shutdown and national action, because this whole thing, this whole outbreak, it's a lot like, I'd say my analogy would be, it's like we have a gash. We have a gash and we didn't see the gash being made because we weren't testing and we weren't taking it seriously, but the gash was being cut and it was being driven into us. And now we have a giant Band-Aid over the gash. And the only way to stop the gash and from continuing to grow, and the only way to solve anything is to actually rip the Band-Aid off. But the Band-Aid continues to grow too. So the longer you wait to pull off this Band-Aid, the more painful it's going to be, and the bigger this gash is going to be. So, and the bigger the scar is going to be. So we really need to start ripping off this Band-Aid and just take our medicine and really hunker down as soon as possible. And I know we are all making big sacrifices, but even where I'm at, in the state of Michigan, our neighbors who haven't even moved into their house yet had the Penske moving truck. Mind you, we are on lockdown as a state. We are supposed to have, it's supposed to be only essential businesses such as getting food or getting drugs that you need. Those are the only businesses that should be open, or utilities. Everything else is supposed to be shut down. Yet, even when we're in this state, there is a moving truck across from us at our neighbor's house. I mean, I believe that there is still plenty of places, there are still plenty of states, the majority of states across the country haven't even begun the process of completely locking down. So, basically, the U.S. is saying, well, every state's saying, well, until things are as bad as they are in New York, we're not going to shut things down. It's like we're waiting for things to be terrible. And that is just such a ludicrous approach and really irresponsible. So I would like to see the U.S. get its act together. We've been getting our act together. We've been getting better, but it's still, I just don't think it's still quite there. And I'm afraid we're really just going to see really insane figures by the end of this. Anyways, okay, so transitioning away from kind of my bubble in the U.S. here and some people I know in Europe, talking about the developing world, this is an angle that we're going to be so anxious to be done with this when it's over, but I really do suspect, pretty much every single country in the world except for North Korea, I wonder how that's possible, is reporting cases of coronavirus now. This is a disease that has spread across the entire globe. And, you think about the fact that the U.S., how hard the economic toll that is being placed on the U.S., the idea of shutting down for a few months. Just think about these places where, on a good day, the economy already has trouble providing for people. It's going to be in such a monumentally difficult task on the world stage of preventing this virus from killing millions across the globe. It really is. So what I would say is I'm still worried about these places. I'm worried about places like Bangladesh, where, living conditions are often very close and, sanitation and infrastructure is often very poor, These are places where an incredibly contagious virus that doesn't kill too many people that it can't spread thrives. So, I really am worried about these places, and I'm worried that once we take care of our problem, or once wealthier nations take care of their problems, they're going to ignore the issues that poorer countries are going to have in dealing with this. Because, I mean, let's face the facts. The U.S., literally there are people in the U.S. saying that it would be better for millions of us to die to keep the economy working. And, we're, literally the richest country on earth, and we think that we can't afford to save millions of people. I mean, think about these other places. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaotic, and they're going to need help. So that's just my message, that we got to keep an eye on these things, and we got to be prepared to offer support in the future. Anyways, a few shout-outs to some people who are being affected. Anthony Carl Towns, his mom is in critical condition, and he had a very emotional post about it. And I just like to wish her the best of luck. I hope he's doing okay during this time. And also, former presidential candidate Amy Klobuchar, her husband, is also in a critical state. Well, maybe not critical. I believe he's on oxygen right now. In serious condition, hospitalized condition. So I hope they're both doing okay, and I hope they get through this. And are able to make it through this. So, now that I've had another one of my depressing COVID casts for you, let's talk about some good things. So there's something down below that I think you should check out. Link I'll leave. It's a very funny impersonation. Yeah, I'll just say, that's all I'll say about it. It really gave me a chuckle. So, yeah, go down in the link below, check that out. Remember that if you live in Michigan, I'll be posting the site to check out Michigan's numbers each day. So you can check those out and stay updated with that here. And I'll also be posting this new site again. Thank you, Jose. This new site that has these really nice charts, interactive charts, so you can track the progress of the virus, not only in the U.S. or one specific place, but all countries. It has really good data. And I'll be posting Johns Hopkins site again, which has really fantastic data. And I'll also be posting again No Kid Hungry, a really great thing you can support, basically keeping kids fed who would normally depend on school lunches right now. So you can donate to that. I think it's a really good cause during this time. Anyways, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you're all doing well. Make sure to stay healthy and stay safe. And don't forget to have a wonderful Wednesday.